fix that.
I'll snap the...
Oh, no. Ah! All right. So, welcome to the first episode of this podcast. We are the Top Off podcast. So, every episode, we're going to release a new episode every Tuesday.
Yep.
And I'm Jake.
I'm Max.
I currently have a few cars right now. So, this is a whole podcast about cars. And I've got a few of them. So, we're going to start out by I'm going to introduce myself. So, like I said, I'm Jake, and I've got a 240, like an 89 pig nose 240 S13. And then I also have a 2013 Lexus LS460 and a 1990 LS400.
He's probably going to have like 4 more cars by the end of the year. This dude goes through cars like it's nobody's business. I'm Max, and I have a 08 Mazda Speed 3 that used to be this guy's.
Yeah.
But recently bought it about, I think it's been just about a year now.
I think
since
so,
we got
since
that.
we moved back here.
But it's kind of my first car into the car scene, because before I was just riding BMX, and that was it. Didn't really do anything with cars, but here I am a year later, and a lot more money in debt, so that's pretty rad. I guess that's part of the car thing.
Yeah, it's typical for owning a Mazda out here. All right, so like I said, we release a new episode every Tuesday. That's the plan, at least. And then you can find us on Spotify. We're going to release on Apple Music. I think it's podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
And then also on YouTube, you'll get the video. And we'll figure out how to try to get the Spotify video on here as well. So, Max already opened his beer.
Yeah.
He's a little too preemptive.
I got excited. We're not
Listen to
sponsored, so don't say that, but this is really good.
But if you want to sponsor us,
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah. If you live in the Northwest, this is an Oregon-based company, so you're probably only going to find it in the Northwest, but it's
Yeah,
pretty
look
good.
at that. Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good.
That's a nice chilled beer.
We'll see how drunk I get by the end of this.
Yeah. All right. So for the first episode, what better way to start it off than what first cars we have had? So we are going to basically go through what cars we wanted when we were first getting into cars, first learning how to drive, and then we will go to which cars we almost got. Like we almost went to meet the Craigslist dude in person, or whatnot. And then for the next section, we're going to tell you about the cars we actually did end up getting, and how we ended up getting into the car scene with those, or progress past that. So yeah, I don't know if you want to start it off, Max. You can tell.
Sure, yeah, my list is a lot smaller. So this guy's been in the cars a lot longer than I have. But so when I first got introduced to vehicles, especially when I got my license, I had to wait a few months after my birthday to get my driver's license. And I just wasn't a super huge car guy at the time, so I was just like, just whatever's got 4 wheels and will get me to school, get me to the skate park, it's going to work for me. But and I was in a really good position at home to where my parents were able to help me to get a vehicle. So I know there's a lot of people out there that had to work really hard to get their own vehicle, and I'm pretty fortunate to be able to, for my parents to help me out. But I had a couple of cars in mind. I mean, of course, me being a typical Adam LZ watcher back in the day, I was like, I want an S13, I want an E36, I want 300ZX, I want all these cars that were very much out of my grasp, and I definitely think I wanted it, but definitely wasn't gonna happen.
Why did you want those cars? I mean, you watched Adam LZ, but what kind of prompted you
Definitely, watching Adam was a big one, because especially probably around 2017, 2016, he was really transferring over into the car scene. So I was like, man, I want to get an S13.
You see how much fun he's having with all these cars?
Yeah, it seems like he's enjoying it, and of course he's probably not showing as much as the problems he was probably having with those cars. But so that was definitely a big one for me. Was just definitely influenced from him, and I mean, of course, video games a big one too. I've been a fan of racing games since I was.
Need for Speed, Underground.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my first cars that I was actually wanting, I was, a teenager. I was like, dude, I want a sports car for my first car. I was like, I want something peppy. I want, something fun. So the first cars I wanted, I saw on Facebook Marketplaces when Facebook Marketplace really started turning into its own thing. I wanted an FCRX7. I liked the styling. I loved the way they looked, and I felt like I was immune from the problems. If they were gonna have any problems, I was like, it's not gonna be
unreliable. Yeah.
that was glad I didn't get one of those. Another car I wanted was a BMW E30. I like those because they looked like pretty classy for the price you can find them at that time.
Oh yeah.
Because this was, what year was this? Probably. We're looking at these cars.
Sorry to just get a distraction. We have a crazy cat that's running around the.
A cat named Celica, named after cars, and you got the whole podcast for this shit now.
You'll probably see her every now and then, but continue.
What year were we kind of looking at these cars? Like the pricing of these?
Gosh, it was definitely before the freaking inflation happened. Of course, COVID was a big problem with inflation with price of vehicles. But
it was like 2017. When we started looking at cars for the most part. I think 2017. This is when Facebook Marketplace first kind of got started. The prices on cars were insane at the time. Like fucking cheap. Like I was telling you about this E30 that I wanted. I think it was like $4,000.
Yeah.
Like it was cheap and it looked fantastic. It was champagne. It was the M5, so it had like all the bells and whistles and everything, and it was cheap. I mean, it still had 200,000 miles, but I still wanted it. That was like a first car, and then another one was 350Zs. At the time, they were cheaper too. This was like cheap for having so many miles. Like there was some for like 60,000 miles that were selling for like $9,000.
Yeah,
you can't find them like. Some of them are cheaper than $9,000. Obviously, you can find some shit boxes for like $5,000, but now it's hard to find some nice ones. Another weird one that I wanted was the Zuzu Impulse. If you don't know what that looks like, you should either look it up or I'm going to include a photo right now. But it had pop-ups. It was a cool looking car. I really dig the look at them, and it was like five hours away. I think it was. It was on the coast of Oregon. Kind of glad I didn't get that. Could you imagine trying to get parts for that?
Yeah, no. That does not sound very fun.
And then, all right, Max, I'll let you go ahead and you can tell them about the cars you actually almost got instead of the car you ended up
more
with.
of the dream cars. Yeah, so a couple of the vehicles here, looking at my notes. So like I was mentioning before, my family was definitely a big part of me getting my first vehicle. And like I said, I wasn't super big into getting a certain specific vehicle at the time. So it's kind of up to my parents more than anything, which I totally get. And I remember we looked at some like late 90s, early 2000s cheap Wrangler. And it was the V8, freaking super unreliable, had super high miles, but it was cheap. And it was one of those things where I was like, it's a first car. And then kind of swayed away from that because gas prices was going to be not even really gas prices, but
at the time?
Just it being efficient on fuel is not going to be a good one at all. So especially for, a 16-year-old high school student. Our main goal was just to try to find something four-wheel drive or front-wheel drive because we live in the Northwest where we get some pretty hefty snow at times. So that was definitely a big one. And don't mind my eyesight. I have to squint when I look at this. But and then we had a 95 Accord growing up, and my dad picked it up when I was probably like 10 or 11. Pretty good little car, the V6. It was fun. Was just an automatic, I'm pretty sure. But that car had been through a lot. We hit a deer with it going like 60. That was pretty cool. I had to replace the whole front end, but I almost got that car, and then we ended up selling it. My dad, I think he just gave it away to one of his coworkers at the time just because he didn't want it anymore. But even though it ran perfectly fine. But other than that, I wasn't super big into the car scene yet, so there was nothing really that was like I was specifically looking for. But
just looking for something to get to.
Just looking for something to get me to school at the time and to the skate park. That was the big one. So
yeah.
This dude, on the other hand, he's got some options here.
Okay, so like I said, I'm a little Facebook Marketplace enthusiast here. So actually, this first one wasn't actually on Marketplace. This was a deal with one of my dad's friends at the time. He had a Volkswagen Squareback. So it's like, this is like a 1970 something. So I almost got one of these. It's like a station wagon Volkswagen. It still had the engine in the back, but it was like a wagon. It was pretty cool. I'd love to own one of those still, but I almost got one of those. And then my dad and I went to a like one of those like family dealerships. Those like ones that scam the fuck out of you. And I almost walked out of there with a mid-2000s Cadillac sedan. I'm not sure how Cadillac does their models and all, beer burps, models and all. But it was like burnt orange color. It was kind of cool, but the transmission was automatic and it was slipping like a motherfucker.
Yeah, don't want that.
So I wasn't about to walk myself into a problem here. And then I almost got a Suzuki XS4. This one was the car that I almost got. I talked to the dude on Marketplace and actually was setting up time to go see it. But I never actually got around to it. So I'll let Max go next for the car he actually got before I go to the one that I ended up with, or a couple, I should say.
Well, the first car I got was a 2004 Toyota Camry, and I know a lot of those Camry people out there are like, hell yeah, because that was like probably one of the best first cars a high school student could get because it's reliable, it's good on gas, and I mean, honestly, for me, I thought they were pretty good looking cars. I mean, a lot of people specify them as grandma cars, but it was really reliable, did great on gas. Pretty stoked with that. I had that for, probably close to 4 years, give or take. 3 or 4 years. So that was pretty cool. I picked it up from the dealership out here for like $5,600, which is...
It's not a bad price at the time.
It only had 106,000 miles for an 04, so I mean...
So it's just broken in. It's a Toyota.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to run another 600,000 miles probably, but it was a pretty good car. Definitely had a lot of fun with it. I'll talk more about what happened to that car after he does his, because it's quite the story, but...
All right, so... what cars I actually ended up with. So I got one for my birthday from my uncle. He was at the time trying to rebuild a old Volkswagen Super Beetle. So 1974. And this was my first car, really. It was my 16th birthday. I paid $200 to him for it, which is a fucking steal at the time. You know how
paid
much
$200 for a birthday present. You heard it here first.
Right. And so it did not run at the time. It did not stop at the time. It did not have seats in it. But I loved the shit out of that car. I learned how to work on cars with that one. I learned how to replace brakes, everything, you know. I got it running. We rebuilt the carburetor a couple times and all sorts of stuff. It was a fun car. Too bad I actually never really got to drive it, but there's more on that later. But the first car that I was actually able to drive legally, this is the one that took me like to high school, like he said, was my 2000 Honda Civic.
Hell yeah.
I got it from my math teacher.
That guy's a whole nother story.
That was... Oh, man. That thing was in mint condition. That thing had 250,000 miles. It was white. I might include a picture here. We'll see how that goes. But it had 250,000 miles when I bought it, and it's only had one owner.
Yeah.
Impressive. And it was bought new from the dealership from him.
Yeah. Honda boys could never...
Had like kill switch, everything you know a Honda Civic really needed.
This math teacher put a kill switch in this thing. You know you mean business.
Mm-hmm. It was a coupe as well too, so I loved the look of the coupes. It was the EX trim, so all the body panels matched. So like all the little trim bumpers, those were all white too. So it was a clean car. The interior was perfect. I ended up putting 212 like subwoofers in the back. It filled the trunk up. It looked like a Need for Speed underground trunk build, dude. Like, it was crazy.
All he needs is the LEDs and the 6 PlayStations back there.
Yeah. No, I think Max will take it away for a couple stories with his first car.
So I had that car for quite a while. I mean, just took me to and from to the skate park and to school. And maybe a week after I got my license, and probably maybe half a month after I got the car, we were leaving Walmart, and me, 16-year-old me, barely driving, cut off a cop, leaving Walmart, got pulled over. This dude was driving behind me, disappeared, gone, and then I just...
I wonder where he went.
Yeah, I pulled into a freaking restaurant, like into the parking lot, excited there was construction on the road, but this dude dipped, and I'm sitting there panicking, freaking out, texting my mom like I just got pulled over. That was fun. Got let off with a warning. Cop was super cool. He also gave me, a little bit of forgiveness because I had my license for a week. He laughed when he looked at my license and, yeah, you've had your license for a week, and you did this. If you were more an experienced driver, I would have given you a ticket. But beer burps are getting rough. I've only drank almost all this, but you got to catch up, dude. What's going on? But yeah, had that happen right after I got it, literally, and then ended up putting a ton of miles on a car. I mean, I got about 104, 105, like I said. I mean, ton of miles ain't too bad, but I ended up moving to the Midwest after the whole COVID thing because we were class of 2020 and didn't really get a graduation. I ended up moving out to Kansas from Oregon, and that was about 1,700 mile drive. Car drove great. Lost my air conditioning on that drive, which was definitely not the greatest thing in early June of Midwest heat. Pretty crappy. If there's any Midwest listeners, you guys know what I'm talking about, especially with the humidity. But had that car for a while, and everything was going great. Had it for about a year after I lived there. So I got there summer 20, and then it was February of 21. Just doing my normal thing at the skate park, and parked my car like probably 60 feet behind another car that was parked up along this fence. And 16-year-old dude hops in his car when I'm riding. I watch him floor it in reverse, and took out the whole back right quarter panel of the Camry, and that was definitely a shock to me because I was just cruising and watched this kid floor it.
You're just like, huh?
Yeah, I was like, wow, my car just bounced and moved, and had to run over there, see what's going on. Of course, I was in more of a panic than a shock because I was realizing that my first car most likely just got totaled. Had to call the cop out there, had to get everything. Come to find out, this 16-year-old had 3 accidents already. 16 years old, 3 accidents. That's pretty...
He's not even driving for a year.
Yeah, dude shouldn't even be driving. Shouldn't have his license, period. And because the cop recognized him when he came out there.
Wow.
So, pretty impressive. And this is, I mean, I lived in a pretty big city. Yeah, we were on the outskirts, but that's pretty sad. And unfortunately, as much as I love that car and how reliable it was... I ended up taking it out to the record, like the insurance claim place, and they ran their thing on it. And frame was cracked and bent because he hit it so hard in reverse, and they had to total it. So that was a kick to the dick, I think. Yeah. Really bummed about that because that car was so reliable. Took me everywhere. I mean, gosh, it drove me all the way to the Midwest, no problem at all. But and it was the first car, so it had some of that sentimental value.
Did you ever have any maintenance issues while you owned it? Did you like?
Well, apart from the AC going out on the trip, when I got there, the alternator ended up going. And I figured this out from, I don't remember. I think it was Big Boy. He used to ride with Scotty Kramer or whatever. He had a Toyota, and his alternator made the same noise as mine did. Because I remember when it first went out, it made this hellacious whining noise. And I was wondering what the hell was going on. But, of course, I already had the battery light, so I knew right then and there I'm not having power to my battery. Yeah. So it was definitely the alternator. And I remember being at the skate park in downtown where I lived, and I was probably about a 15-minute drive from my house, and I needed to make it home. That was my main goal, and it was rush hour traffic, about 5:30 in a big city. I had to get on the interstate. I just remember my car whining, and I got there, and my car was losing power the whole time I was driving back to my house because the alternator obviously was not charging the battery as I was driving.
Going off the battery voltage.
Going off the battery voltage, and by the time I got to the house, the car was pretty much dead. Sat for a couple months, replaced the alternator, and then right after I replaced the alternator is when it got totaled. So pretty shitty circumstance. But
if you find that thing in Kansas, it's got a new alternator.
Yeah, actually, the engine's probably out of it because it got put into like some auction thing for totaled cars. So that car frame is probably sitting somewhere. That had a healthy motor in it, so that thing definitely got ripped up. That motor got pulled out for sure.
Yeah. I got a couple stories with my first cars. So we'll start with the Volkswagen. This one, like I said, I never drove it legally. That's the kicker there. So I never had insurance for it because, it was a project at the time. It's kind of sat at my grandma's house while, like, every weekend we'd go, work on it a little bit, go home, stuff like that. One weekend I decided to take the boys out to go see it. So
I was there.
Max and my buddy Colton. And we decided, we'll do some body work. We'll get some spray paint.
And Bondo.
Bondo, there's a bunch of rust on it. We're making sure to do it not right. So we, of course, if you're going to spray paint something, you might as well put your initials on it. We didn't get any further than that. So it had all of our initials on the side. I'm like, that's good enough for now. Let's take it for a drive. We got the car running nice. And we got it running. We fucking stomp on the gas a little bit. Shot some wasps out the tailpipe because we never really started.
Bees nest in there. It was pretty cool.
It had a different exhaust on it than stock. It's a car from the 70s. It's gonna have some aftermarket parts on it. Yeah. But so it shot flames with burning wasps coming out of that. They're pissed. But yes, we ended up going for a drive. So
Talk about the chair choice in there.
So, me being the driver, 16 at the time, I had the actual seat in the car. It ran pretty all right, and then Max was in the passenger seat with me.
Yeah, I had a fold-out lawn chair from the 1980s. I was using.
That thing was.
I think it came with the car.
I couldn't tell you. It looked like it belonged there though. And then my buddy Colton was in the back, so he ended up sitting on.
Pretty sure he was sitting on the battery was like powering the trunk, the motor as we were going.
Yeah, so he kind of had like squat and try not to touch the battery with his ass and electrocute his ass, but it was fun. We took it for a little quick drive, and I kind of got chewed out by my fucking dad afterwards, but...
Man, that was the only drive that car was ever on.
That's right.
With this dude in ownership of it.
Wish I could have kept it, but I ended up selling it to help pay for the car I kind of already had. So I had like I said, a Civic. I got it probably a year prior, or a year afterwards. I got the Volkswagen. And that's just so I could have something to go to school with. So I'm going to consider that my first car because it's the first car I could actually drive. So that's what I used to go back and forth to my grandma's house to work on that car. It was a 2000 Civic, like I said, and then that thing has had some fucking shit. Like I said, it's got that 12-inch subs in the back. It had all sorts of shit. But the main stories I want to touch on here is this one afternoon, me and my buddy Colton, like I said, went out to a church parking lot, and this was like, I don't know, a couple miles from the school, to be honest. And it was like 9 o'clock at night.
Dead of winter.
It wasn't even winter. It was late fall, mid fall ish.
Yeah, it's the Northwest. Yeah.
It was not icy at all. That's the big kicker here. It wasn't icy at all. I went to fucking power slide that. I ripped the e-brake. I slammed on the gas and ripped that shit. And slid it around a power pole. I wonder if I can find that video and show it to you guys. But that was awesome.
Yeah, keep in mind, this is a front-wheel drive car, too.
It is. So
those poor back tires screaming when he ripped that handbrake up.
Yes, yeah. And then I also, I don't know if it was before or after, I ended up getting 19-inch wheels. Wait, no, they're 18-inch wheels. They're 18-inch wheels I got from Reading at the time, which is south of us. And I didn't paint them. I plasti dipped them.
Nice.
I think everyone goes through the phase of the plasti dip, and it was wheels for me. So I plasti dipped the wheels. They look good though. They're
all right. Yeah, they weren't bad for a first set of aftermarket wheels.
Yeah. And then I ended up the next time. This is the only car that I owned for a good amount of time. I jumped it. I jumped the Honda Civic. So over by a neighborhood in this town, there is some roads that look like they belong in, GTA.
If you can picture that video of that guy jumping a Tesla in Southern California.
It was something like that.
Something like that. Not as severe. Obviously, that dude hit that jump in that Tesla going like, probably about 80, 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for this, but from what I've heard, was not that significant, but it's similar. Yeah. So you get the picture.
No, it's a fun story. So there's a back road going up to that. It's a hella curvy. We're having fun. You're going back and forth. I got my buddies in the car. I got another buddy following behind us. So we're like, okay, it's kind of foggy out this night. So we go up. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Go to the top of this hill, and then it ramps down. And I'm picking up speed. I'm going like 40, 50 miles an hour, going down the street that shouldn't be going like even 12 on. Like, you shouldn't be going fast on it at all. And then there's a flat section where it like lines up for the next road going perpendicular to it. And I rocketed off that bitch. I launched that Honda Civic. Probably it landed a good 100 feet past where that road was.
Ridiculous.
At this point, we're flying through the air. We're like, holy shit! Slow-mo, like a movie trailer or something like that. And we see some lights pull up behind the next alleyway up the road. So we're like, okay, we'll slow down. At this point, we're still going 50 miles an hour. We passed that alleyway going probably 40 miles an hour, trying to slow on the brakes before the stop sign at the end of the road. Turns out, that was a cop that just got done dealing with a fucking college party. He was not having it. So it was the local police department here. And I didn't make it. I didn't make
He was
it.
lucky he was a PD guy, not a state.
Yes, I didn't make it very far before the lights clicked on. I made it to the stop sign, turned right, and there's the lights. Every light. So I got the flashing red and blues. I got everything but the siren basically. Both sets of flashers, everything. I was getting lit up like a Christmas tree. I went up the next road, parked because I didn't want to be parked on this short. It was like a narrow road that you didn't want to be parked on. So he pulls me over, and I guess I didn't have a non-expired license or non-expired insurance at the time. So my insurance was technically invalid. So I was texting my mom, calling my mom as much as I can. This is 10 o'clock at night. She's not going to answer very fast. I was just trying to get like the phone version of the insurance to show him. So he goes, walks to me, walks up to the passenger window actually. Where my buddy, he's trying to go through like the glove box. He's like popping it down. He's looking at it. He's like, why is there so much cash in here? This was the money I was using to buy the wheels, and I just kept the cash in the car. That was not the thing to say to a cop.
Yeah.
So
the drug dealer right here. He's in a Civic, bro.
Yeah, no, it was only like $200, but you shouldn't keep money in your what do you call it? Glove box. Much less should you have your friend bring it up when the cop is next to you.
Yeah.
I think he totally skipped over that part, but we did not. We ended up showing him insurance. We got away with a warning. He told us to slow down. He didn't see the jump, luckily, because I think we would have probably got like a ticket for sure.
Yeah, you would have got a reckless driving charge.
Oh yeah,
sure.
No, that was fun though. And then my
maybe some driver's school too.
I feel bad for calling out my friend with a speech impediment. My buddy Trent. He was in a Jeep behind us, and he saw this whole thing go down. He parked with us and everything. And I was really glad the cop didn't talk to him because he has a speech impediment where it makes it sound like he's almost drunk.
Yeah.
Which is not good because if we went to talk to him, that would have been a whole thing to explain to the cop. But it ended up being all right and didn't talk to him. So that was probably my favorite story with driving that Honda Civic.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of it, sparks flying, Honda Civic type things. And then I sold it maybe a couple months later to a high schooler that smacked a deer with it just maybe a couple weeks into owning it.
Yeah, and then the car that this dude bought right afterwards was, you had the best reliability possible.
Oh, yeah. No.
And then you went down to the bottom of the totem pole.
I got a Mitsubishi.
Yeah, an Eclipse. What, a first gen? What, second gen?
Third gen.
Third gen Eclipse.
So it's the one like what's his name in Fast and Furious? Too Fast, Too Furious.
Dude, it's the one that Tyrese is driving with the purple and the chrome wheels. Yeah, that
ugly
awful
bastard.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't have the convertible one, but that was the unfortunate next step into getting into cars. That kind of led me into cars because that was my first manual car.
Yeah, you learned how to drive stick on that thing. Well, at least learn how to perfect your stick driving.
And then I threw coilovers on it, and that's basically what kicked me into.
You did a clutch job on it too, didn't you?
I did do a clutch job. I'm surprised it fucking ran after, to be honest. But it took a couple months to get that clutch done because this is the first time I really worked on a car, and that's basically what got me in the car scene. If you have a shitty car and you got to work on it, that's probably one of the best ways to do it.
It's gonna make you learn. It's gonna make you learn pretty quick, and it's gonna show you that money is a very big part of the car scene.
Yes.
Unfortunate.
So yeah, that's basically kind of what we started out with our first cars, what we did and did not get, and what we wanted and what we ended up kind of getting. So hopefully you can learn from our experience here and get a Toyota or a Honda because
especially if you're talking first cars here. Mm-hmm. First cars, get yourself something reliable.
Yeah, let's have a little segment of what cars should you get. If you're watching this in 2023, midsummer 2023, what cars should we be looking for high schoolers getting cars?
Yeah, especially with price ranges right now. I mean, the pricing for vehicles has slowly started to go down. We've both come to realize this in the past couple of months. But leave a suggestion down below, and maybe we can take a couple of your ideas or anything and talk about it in a episode in the future about cars that people should get.
Yeah, tell me what cars.
As a first car.
Tell me what cars you guys had for your first cars. And tell me a story about it because I'd like to hear some first car stories. Those are always the best. But yeah. Thanks for watching. This is the first episode. I think we had plenty of fun with this. And we can always do more, longer episodes. If you like them, We're going to share these all about. Like I said, thank you guys for coming to watch this first episode, and hopefully we can make some more of these.
Yeah, I definitely think it's definitely taking both of me and him out of our comfort zone a little bit. Our social skills definitely aren't the greatest. It's definitely awkward talking to a camera.
Right, we're not used to
audio listeners, we're talking into a camera right now, so a little bit intimidating, but it's definitely going to be a learning curve, so there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be things we're doing wrong. If you guys can give us pointers, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Because we want this to be better and we want this to be a good podcast, so that'll be a big one. But yeah, just two guys trying to talk about cars, get people into cars, or get the car dudes stoked about what they're doing and start to stoked about the scene. So that'll be pretty rad.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, we're going to have episodes every Tuesday. We'll try. That's not a promise.
We're going to try one a week.
We'll try one a week.
Schedule.
I think that's a good schedule. I mean, this only took us 30 minutes or so. And like I said, if you guys like it, please share it around. We're trying to, reach a new audience, because I already have a channel, and it's kind of weird talking to a camera because I'm not used to a podcast. I'm used to being behind the camera.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, you have been watching the Top Off podcast.
Top Off podcast, yes sir. First episode, first run.
Yeah.
A lot more to come.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, I gotta finish this.